BXB. It's in the game.
It was with some jealousy that I saw Battlezone get released onto the PSVR system quite recently. I actually saw some people playing it and it looked like a ton of fun, and I was incredibly jealous that I wasn't going to get to experience this new version by Rebellion on the absolutely classic 1980s vector graphics tank simulation combat game. Such a good simulation combat game that the US Army actually used it at one point, a slightly modified version, as a training tool. But now I'm happy, very, very happy to say that Battlezone has made it to Xbox One, and also there's a non-VR version on PlayStation, and it's a fantastic remake of that classic. So first of all, you can see as I'm panning through these screens, there's loads of customization, be it cosmetic, and the Gold Edition gives you all the extra bits and bobs and DLC that was available on the VR version from the very beginning, so I can have loads of crazy bobbleheads, as you can see. But in addition, all the tanks and everything have a vast array of different weaponry, and you are no longer restricted to that single shot cannon that you remember from the original. And talking of the original, the Classic Edition is included, I am so happy to say, in Gold Edition, which has this sort of leaderboard chasing sort of mentality of getting the highest score, and I was happy to say that I was at the top of those leaderboards. However, at the time prior to release of the game, I was at the top of the leaderboards, of which there was only 3 people on them. So that's maybe not the greatest thing in the world. But there's the classic controls with each tank track on each thumbstick, and then there's like a more modern, easier to get sort of to grasp with control system as well. But it looks great, and it's so much fun to play still. But now we have this modern take on Battlezone, which is this sort of campaign, this randomly generated hexagonal map, which means you can choose your way across it. You can have a short, a medium, or a long campaign, and you go across this map with the goal of getting to the volcano and stopping the big enemy AI at the end of it. But yeah, you're progressing across this map, you're picking your missions, you can send probes to get an idea using the in-game currency that you can get to get an idea of what the mission will be beforehand. You can play it on multiple difficulties, and you can play the whole campaign all the way through in co-op as well. I wasn't able to test that, sadly, because, again, prior to release, there was basically nobody playing this game online. However, I played through the campaign in single player a couple of times on various difficulties, using a variety of the different tanks on offer, light, medium, and heavy, though there are more tanks to unlock as you beat the game at the varying difficulties. Now, this game, because like I was saying, these tanks are not the tanks you remember from the original Battlezone. You have multiple weapon pickups, you have these shops you go to, which means you can buy different upgrades and different weapons as you go through the game, which completely change the way you're going to play. Everything from missiles to mines to cannons to lasers, you name it, you can bolt loads of different stuff onto your tank, and obviously depending on the weight of the tank, you can bolt different amounts of weapons onto it. Now they've all got limited ammo, so you're picking up ammo and currency as you go through the game. It's loads of fun to do. There's also these things like hacking games within the game where you have to like stay near control points. Now these can give you various buffs. They can do all kinds of interesting things like revealing the enemies on the map or reducing the threat level, which is another element, a kind of roguelike element that's been brought into the campaign here of Battlezone, in which there are these nemesis tanks, these super powerful enemy tanks that are going to come after you on the hexagonal map. When your threat level increases, and as your threat level increases, you also get more difficult matches as more enemies populate the environment of different varying difficulty as well, and obviously that base difficulty level is going to affect the kinds of enemies you get. As you may have guessed from all these things I am reeling off to you here, Battlezone is a feature-rich remake of what is a very simplistic 1980s arcade game. This is not just a lazy port or a thing that's been chucked out as a cash-in. A lot of thought has gone into really filling out this experience by Rebellion. I'm actually super impressed with this game. It looks great, it still has that kind of homage to the vector graphics of the original, and yet it plays very much like a modern action game. It's challenging, it's exciting, it's engaging. The music, oh god, the music is so cool as well. The setting, even the sort of story and the sort of contextualized story elements you get from the gameplay are well thought out. You can see how the enemy tanks take damage visually as you bombard them with your attacks, chipping away armor and exploding their cores. There's base attacks where you have to knock down shields and think strategically. There are turret defenses and all kinds of variety of enemy tanks as you may ever expected, from mine layers to fast attack tanks to heavy tanks to just a variety that far surpasses anything we may have seen in the original Battlezone. I was super impressed with this game. It's close enough to the original that it ticks those nostalgia boxes, and of course includes a very similar take on the original game that's so updated though for modern sensibilities. But what's actually in the core of this game, the single player campaign, the hexagonal grid, that kind of roguelike elements, and the combat that has never felt better. Man, this game is excellent, like truly, truly excellent, and it almost makes me want to get a PSVR, because I can only imagine how immersive and engaging this would be with that thing on my face as well. I absolutely adore Battlezone here, so from me, it's going to get a really good 4 out of 5 stars.
BXB. It's in the game.